All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co host, Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, we are coming to you live this Friday evening to preview the Rams' upcoming matchup this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks at SoFi. It's going to be the rivalry game, so the Rams will be wearing those midnight mode jerseys. I wore mine for the broadcast. If you guys can see it, I've got it on here. It blends in with my black couch because it's the midnight mode jersey. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, I've got it on. I've got a Kyron Williams jersey on right here. Jake has his hanging up. If you guys are watching and not listening, you could see that behind him. He's got a Puka Nakua jersey. Should be a fun environment. As a lot of you know, I was supposed to go to the game. I will no longer be at the game, but I will be there in spirit. Jake, the atmosphere for this game. One, it's a rivalry game. It's exciting. You've got kind of the new color scheme going on, the new jerseys, which the Rams haven't worn in a game before. This is the first year the NFL is doing these rivalry games, so it's been kind of an experience for the fans. So you've got that aspect of Sunday. But also, it's a division rival, of course, right? Rivalry game. So you're playing against a team that you are in direct competition with for the entire year. So, but not only that, you are playing a team that is also 7-2. Both of these teams are 7-2. Both of these teams are considered top offenses in the NFL. This is the game of the week. I don't care what anybody says. This is the game of the week. This is the game everybody wants to watch. The pressure is on. It's going to be intense. You've got two very, very good, well-rounded teams going up against each other on Sunday in a divisional matchup. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I mean, hey, I've been a believer of both teams for a while now. I had Seattle initially as the third team in the NFC West. I changed it right before the season started. I put them ahead of the 49ers, had them winning 11 games, the Niners winning 10, and the Cardinals winning, I think, 8 or 9. I've been really high on Seattle. I think they did all the right things. I think their defense has a lot of different moving parts that you got to be worried about. And I think their offense is not even as good as it can be. And that's scary. So they're going to be without Torrey Horton in this game. They're also going to be without Julian Love, who's on IR, as well as Jaron Reed, who's a good rotational interior defensive lineman, also on IR, and Jalen Sundell, their versatile center, who they're very high on. So, yeah, the Rams are going to be without Ahkello Witherspoon, Tutu Atwell, and for the most part, everyone else is going to be healthy for this one. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this. I circled this about 3-4 weeks ago as a game that could decide the division and potentially the NFC. And definitely has not been disappointing to watch both teams. And I'll say this right now, just a complete debacle on the point of the NFL. It's a reminder, just because you have these billion-dollar, businesses, and you think they know what they're doing. They don't always know what they're doing. This was a complete abject failure from the NFL, Fox, whoever was involved, to bury this at a 405 slot, not make this, in my opinion anyway, to not make this the game of the week. I just think is a total oversight. I understand you can't flex out Thursday Night Football. Wasn't asking you to, but it really is kind of a joke that this is not even going to be a prime time game. And, it's not in the 425 slot that everybody will be seeing. So I just think that is absolutely just pathetic. Yeah. And I'm bummed, truthfully. I'm excited for the game, but everybody should be watching this game. It's going to be probably one of the better games, if not the best game of the year.
I agree. It is very puzzling the way that the NFL chose to handle this game. I understand that the Rams and the Seahawks are playing in prime time, their second matchup. So that could have been part of the decision there. But again, why are you doing midnight mode jerseys in a day game
They're the
as
only
well?
ones.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
just
know.
feels like they got something wrong here. But you know what? We move. We'll see how it goes, but it is very disappointing because, like you said, I think this should be watched by everybody. I think that the expectations for this game are going to be very, very high for both teams. Two very, very good teams, certainly worthy of a primetime spot. So they'll get it their second matchup when they play up in Seattle, but they're going to be playing at SoFi this Sunday. Jake, something we've talked about is, this Rams offense has really come into their own. This is an offense that, I feel like the past couple of seasons, we've been on so many different journeys, really since the Super Bowl year. This offense has been up, it's been down. Really, there is, a couple years. Really, if you look at like 2023, even really last season, they just have struggled in the red zone. Who is scoring in the red zone other than Kyren Williams, right? Or who is making those big plays other than Puka Nacua? You bring in Devontae Adams, but when we start off this season, the chemistry with Stafford is a little bit off. They kind of have to find their footing the first few games. Spoiler alert, they've found it. It's been electric between Adams and Stafford. So you get him involved. You've now got 13 personnel. You're getting your tight ends involved. You feel like the run game is a little bit consistent. You don't kind of have to just rely on the run game in a way that's obvious. And that's really helping to make the offense balance. So you've got this electric Rams offense out there who really, Jake, in my opinion right now, feel unstoppable. With the way that Matthew Stafford is playing, and I'll let you comment on this, it feels hard to stop this Rams offense. It really feels like it's going to take a very specific, well-executed game plan to slow down Matthew Stafford and his weapons right now.
I completely agree, Alexis. I mean, I think right now, the Rams can win in 11, they can win in 12, they can win in 13, they can win with their defense, they can win with their offense, they can win with the run game, the pass game, the short, the intermediate, the deep. They can win all over the field. Matthew Stafford is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL, and he has been that for a bit now. And, the running game just doesn't even feel like it's scratched the surface yet of what it can truly be. I mean, I just look, Blake Corum has over 300 yards this year. Kyren Williams has over 600. Yeah, I feel like both of those guys could go over 1,000 if they really wanted to commit to the run. And then you have, Tutu Atwell out currently, but you're running so much 13 personnel that now isn't really the time where you're like, man, it really hurts not having him out there, because you have Devontae Adams, you have Puka Nacua, you can kind of rotate them and manage their workload. And I saw something on this, Chris Shula took some credit for this. I mean, obviously McVay gave him credit, but Chris Shula took some credit because he said, look, like this defense, the way that they rotate in and out, different guys have different roles, and they're giving everybody like a breather. Now the offense is starting to, kind of rotate in and out like a defense, just not on the offensive line and quarterback, which are the only two, I would say things that you really can't just rotate in and out. But I've just been really impressed with their ability to mix up their pitches. They're not just doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting the same or expecting different results. They've actually mixed things up, and you see in the red zone, getting teams to really bite on, play action, and teams are still blitzing Matthew Stafford, and he's still picking them apart. They've just been so much fun to watch, Alexis. And really the big thing is the red zone. When you go back and you look at Sean McVay, throughout his career, the red zone has been hit or miss. And for the most part, it's been miss, right? They've had to go one-dimensional, either giving it to, Kyren Williams or Todd Gurley or, whoever, right? Darrell Henderson. And now I feel like for the first time in Sean McVay's career, they are not just a good red zone offense. They're dominant right now. They're an offense that's probably the best red zone offense in the league. I mean, when you look at their last 3 games, they've just been absolutely sensational in the red zone. They're second in the league because it's kind of misleading. The Falcons they have a higher percentage of touchdowns in the red zone. They've also had fewer opportunities, obviously. The Rams, the last 3 games, have an 86.67% scoring rate when scoring touchdowns in the red zone. We're not just talking about kicking a field goal. We're talking about literally an 86.6% of the time, the last 3 games, they're scoring touchdowns in the red area, and that is huge. So I think that's really kind of what sets them apart from other teams in the past. And obviously, we've talked about their depth at nauseum. We've talked about how great Matthew Stafford is, and the job Sean McVay is doing as a play caller, and Kyren Williams, just how reliable he is in pass pro and how reliable he is down in the red area. But like all of this coming together, you can just see a team that's just ready. As long as they get a decent bill of health, they can build off of what they do and they should be considered Super Bowl favorites, especially if they win this game.
Yeah, I think, I agree with everything you said. And I think, looking at the red zone, it is so scary. It should be scary for other teams when you realize now that the Rams can use somebody other than Kyron Williams to score. Right? They don't have to run the ball in the red zone, which was something that we've kind of complained about for the past couple of seasons is where is this like diversifying the portfolio, right? Why are we not getting other people involved? Now it's like who can't score in the red zone? Really? I mean, and that's rhetorical. We have seen instances, obviously, so far this season, even recently, where they've struggled slightly in the red zone. But this balanced offense is what we've kind of been waiting to come to fruition for the Rams, and they are now fully executing that. And I think they've found the rhythm. So that's going to be really exciting to see. And I totally agree with you. If they're able to come out and beat this Seattle Seahawks team, I don't see why the Rams aren't Super Bowl favorites. This is a very, very good team that we're playing on Sunday. I think these are both of the top teams in the NFC, if I'm being honest right now. I think the Eagles have fallen out of favor. I think the Lions have fallen out of favor. And, in my opinion, those are good teams. I'm not saying they're not. But right now, when I'm looking at who's hottest, I think it's the Seahawks and the Rams. So it is going to be a really big matchup, and a lot of eyes are going to be on it. And it's going to be, I think, a real test for McVay to see how he operates against the Seattle Seahawks defense. So if you want to talk about that first, we can, I want to hear your thoughts kind of about what you think this Seahawks defense is going to do to try to stop this balanced offense. Now that the Rams are hot, now that you've got multiple people involved and you can't just focus on locking down, Nakua or Kyron or whoever, you got to watch everybody. What do you think Seattle's going to do to try to slow down Stafford and the offense?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, the first time they played, it was a 0-0 game in the second quarter. The Rams kicked the field goal, and really they outplayed Seattle. They let Seattle back into it. JSN ended up over 200 yards in that game. But, you go back, the first time Sean McVay saw Mike Macdonald's defense, it was when he was with the Baltimore Ravens in that 37-31 loss. And I'm sure you remember, I remember it like it was yesterday. Everyone said, you're just not going to be able to run against this Ravens defense. They're just too good. And they ran 9 straight times with Kyron Williams on the first drive of the game. They got a field goal out of it. That was the bummer. They weren't able to score a touchdown that drive. They went like 17 plays, and they finally just settled for the field goal. But that really set the tone early on. Just basically kind of played bully ball early on. And that's when we knew, like, okay, the Rams are for real. They're coming out in the second quarter. They score 17 points, right? So really kind of what I see is this. The Rams, the way Seattle's going to come out is the way they've been coming out. They're going to try and get pressure up front. They've been doing it all year. They've been wearing teams down, with that. And, I think a big thing is you got to watch out for the linebacker blitzing. I think you look at that, Seattle, Arizona game, and it ends up getting ballooning, right? Because you had 2 defensive touchdowns, both of which went to DeMarcus Lawrence, both of which were forced by Tyrese Knight. But that's a different game if you don't force those fumbles. So looking at that, they had Tyrese Knight coming right up the middle and blitzing and hitting, the hand of Jacoby Brissett. Seattle has a bunch of dogs that they can kind of operate with. And when you look at Mike Macdonald, I mean, first and foremost, we always talk about how does a new coach want to kind of emulate what he previously had? We did it with Sean McVay. Who's the Chris Thompson for the Rams? Who's going to be the Jordan Reed, right? Well, Mike Macdonald, I think the big question was, who is going to play the Nnamdi Madubuike role and who is going to play the Kyle Hamilton role? And the Kyle Hamilton role is currently being played by safety, you could argue nickel corner. I'm going to call him a nickel at this point. Nick Emanwari, no different than what Quentin Lake's doing. He essentially plays slot corner. He can play box safety. He plays the reps when Devin Witherspoon comes in to play the slot corner spot. Emanwari then goes in as a box safety. He's having a great rookie season. He leads all the whole DB room in pressures. He's tied for the lead in PBUs with 2 fewer games than Woolen. He's, to me, one of the biggest, most important players of the entire game for Seattle because he's going to be able to match up and he's going to be the equalizer for what the Rams are trying to do with that 13 personnel. If you stay in base, now he's going to have to play safety because you're not going to have him playing on the outside at cornerback, right? So with that said, now this is a guy that can match up with a Tyler Higbee. He can match up with a Colby Parkinson. He can match up with Davis Allen, and he can match up with Terrence Ferguson, although I would give the nod to Terrence Ferguson. I think that's also, we'll get into that, but I think that's an exciting part about this game. You look at Leonard Williams, he's the leading pressure guy in the interior. Byron Murphy, the second, isn't being played out of position this year, and you're really starting to see the benefit of that. Jaron Reed is out, so Brandon Peely, as well as Mike Morris and Quentin Bohanna, have been taking over in his absence. I really like the job that Uchenna Nwosu has done. He's been a force to be reckoned with. He's just got the great ability. He can cover, he can blitz, he can, play run support. He's won over 17% of his reps this year in pass pro. They got Boye Mafe and Derek Hall. Hall's coming off one of the best games of his career. DeMarcus Lawrence is coming off a 2-touchdown performance last week. So, they have these guys. I don't know if Tyrese Knight's going to play that much, even though he had 2 strip sacks that led to 2 touchdowns, because Ernest Jones is back. And then, oh, by the way, number 42, Drake Thomas, one of my favorite young players in this league, he just jumps off the page. He's everywhere. Yeah. Tariq Woolen's balling out. Devin Witherspoon, like I previously mentioned. Josh Jobe is back. What is that going to look like? There's a real chance the Rams are seeing a new defense for Seattle that we haven't seen at all. I mean, think about it. Wasn't that long ago where Darion Kendrick was playing for this team a lot more. Nehemiah Pritchett was playing. And don't forget about Shaq Griffin. So there have been some injuries, but now it seems like they're fully healthy or close to fully healthy and ready to go. I do want to give a shout out to Kobe Bryant as well as Ty Okada. I think they've been playing great football at the safety spot. But yeah, Alexis, they have a lot of different things that they can do because they can send all of these guys to blitz. These guys can work man-to-man. They can work in zone. There's just a lot of athleticism all over the field, and they hit hard, so they're going to try and force some turnovers as well. I think that's a big thing. Matthew Stafford, only 2 interceptions. He feels due for 1 interception at least because he's just taking such good care of the football. We know how that works. But I mean, if the Rams take good care of the football, it's still going to be hard for Seattle to win this game.
So do you think that knowing this and, kind of looking at that secondary that you just mentioned, do you think that the Rams come out and they try to establish a run game? Do you think that that's what I'm thinking as well. And I apologize if you kind of outlined that earlier. I'm just backtracking a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Because I do think that, to me as well, that secondary is, I think, the biggest concern. I think if you can establish a rhythm in the run game, which the Rams have not really had to do as of late. They've done it this season, but they haven't had to do it out of necessity quite as much, right? Because you look at this passing attack that's gotten really, really good. It's gotten really, really fluid. It's gotten consistent. Matthew Stafford has been lighting it up with all these new targets. The Rams have not had to do what they've had to do the past couple of seasons often with this offense and slow down and give Kyron the ball, right? Get this run game going, really grind it out. They have done it at times, but not out of necessity, as I said. I think when I look at the Seattle defense, I see what they can give you with the run. Get Kyron in there, get Blake in there. And if you can't seem to establish a consistent run game against them, then maybe start returning to some of these routes that you've been having success with or whatever. Obviously try to keep it balanced. But I think that this secondary for Seattle is where the Rams are going to get tripped up a little bit. And I don't even want to say tripped up, but I think it's going to give them the biggest problem. I think if you want to come out and you want to feel the situation, you're going to get involved in the run game, looking at what Seattle has been able to do defensively. Now, that's not to say that I don't think our tight ends are going to get involved. I think that they will. We see what the Rams have been doing, and I think that they're probably going to try to get that passing game going throughout the game with Matthew Stafford, get some of these receivers going. But I think to start the game, we're going to see a really run-heavy first half.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you got to test them. The biggest game that they've given up on the ground was Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 69 yards. That's the most they've given up to a running back this year. So I think Kyron Williams is the best running back that they have faced to this point because I think he's a lot better than Christian McCaffrey as far as carrying the football. Christian McCaffrey, the receiver, now we're talking. But right now, I think McCaffrey's kind of lost it as a running back. But, you look at this past week and, you could see they just do such a good job of making you play their game. I know DeMarcado also had 64 yards, but that was on 4 carries, whatever. Point being, and also kind of garbage time, but point being is that they are not allowing running backs to run wild against them. They're just not. And a big reason for that is the personnel up front. When you have DeMarcus Lawrence, who's so good against the run, and you have guys like Byron Murphy, and you have guys like Leonard Williams, and you have Uchenna Nwosu who can set the edge, this is going to make it really tough to run against this team. Ernest Jones is back. He's going to make it hard to run against this team because he's great against the run. So there are a lot of different things that, they're going to be able to do. But at the same time, and I feel confident saying this because I know, Tampa had them in a close game, ended up being 38-35. I think this is by far not just the best team that they faced, by far the best team that Seattle has faced. And I think as far as the Rams are concerned, I think Seattle is the best team that they've faced. I think that they're the best. They're the most well-rounded. The Eagles offense doesn't scare me. The 49ers don't really scare me. So I think, the Colts, obviously they played a really good game as well, and they probably should have won that, but I think they're better than the Colts. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I think the Colts are, if not the third best team in the league, they're one of the top 5 teams in the league. So that's kind of where I'm at, is that we're talking about these are the two Goliaths of the league. And, I think if you're able to establish the run, it means then your play action is just going to work, right? And if you're able to establish the run, then that means you could just go all day with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum, because if you're just going to continue to do your kind of in and out there, well, it's going to be hard for defenses to stop that, because, Corum can hit you with a 15-yard explosive. Kyren can also hit you at 15 yards, but he's going to run into 3 guys and carry the pile and weaken your defense over the course of a game. So that's something to keep in mind there. And then, as far as the passing game, Seattle is allowing yards to tight ends. They're doing it. I know Eamon Worry was out. I know he missed a few games early on in the year, but they're actually allowing yards through the air to tight ends. And I thought that was really fascinating. When you look at the teams right now in the league, Seattle has allowed 656 yards to tight ends this year. So that's the thing. And what people will say is, well, that's because they're shutting down wide receivers. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but the reality is that's a lot of yards to give up to tight ends. So I think that the Rams are going to be able to take advantage of that. I'm expecting a big game, and I've said this already, but I'm expecting a big game out of Terrence Ferguson. I think he is going to be the X factor in this one. He's essentially the equalizer. Oh, okay. You call with Eamon Worry. Well, I raise you with Terrence Ferguson, and that's going to be, I think, the key matchup to look out for, because you have that verticality in his game and his ability to already run those routes and create separation at a high clip, because it feels like every time Ferguson gets out there, he at least gets a foot, maybe, a step or 2 steps ahead on a guy in coverage. So, that's kind of where I'm at on that. I think Ferguson is definitely going to have to be utilized. I think all 4 tight ends are going to be utilized. This is another one. Okay. Seattle really struggles to defend, kind of that deep dig route that we see that they're constantly setting up with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. They got to keep hitting that. If that's there, you got to keep delivering it. So I just think right now, the way the Rams have been playing, I'm not worried about them just leaving what they want to do. I think they're going to dictate this football game, and it's going to start, like you asked, through the run game. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And looking at the opposite side of that, looking at Seattle's offense, right? Because I think when people look at these two teams from the outside right now, the Rams and the Seahawks, they're looking at these high-powered offenses, right? They're looking at Puka Nacua versus JSN, So I think that, when we talk about this Seattle Seahawks offense, I think it's, you and I both give them a lot of credit. I just think throughout the season, I think we've both been very fair, right, to a division rival and been like, yeah, they have something really good going on. I'll be honest, I think I slept on Darnold a little bit. I think a lot of people did. I didn't expect Darnold to come out this season and look this good with Seattle, right? I know a lot of people in the fan base didn't as well. He's been cooking over there. You've got him and JSN. They've got some They got a tight end, Elijah Ario, who I think is starting to kind of maybe get more involved, who I really liked in the draft. AJ Barner. Torrey Horton was a guy you and I loved. And it always happens, and we've said this on the show, there's always a receiver that we love that like goes to the NFC West. It happens every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
I'm bummed for him. He's out.
I know he is out, but he's been having like a good year and he's been fun to watch. And he was like the DK Metcalf. Remember when that happened?
Yeah,
We were watching the draft
I
together.
remember. I it's one of those guys. I was watching Colorado State, and I was just like, I don't know when he's going in the draft, but that is the guy. I could see him as a Ram. He just the route running, the size, because he's 6'2". Like people act like he's like this short, speedy receiver. I mean, he's got great length. He makes it tough on teams. He has 5 touchdowns. He has the same amount of touchdowns as JSN. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So
well, he is out, and the Seahawks ended up trading for Shaheed from the Saints.
Big game for him. Yeah.
Blinking on his first name. Is
Rashid.
Yeah. So they end up trading for him. So that's another speedy guy that they've got on that offense. And then they've got Cooper Kupp. We would be remiss if we did not bring up the fact that this is going to be Cooper Kupp's return to SoFi Stadium with another team. And that is going to be, I think, very bittersweet. It's obviously a game. I think Cooper Kupp kind of, some people didn't particularly love his press conference when he said something along the lines of like, oh, well, like I'm not dead, it's just another game. But that's always been his personality. Even if you look back at him on the Rams, is he's not very into that emotional kind of thing. He's very quiet. I did not take it personally at all. I think if anybody took that super personally, that's on them. What you did.
I don't know.
You took it personally. But yeah, I mean, Coop is coming back. He's not the star of that offense. This is not the Cooper Kupp that we are accustomed to, I think, as Rams fans and kind of his peak. But, he's reliable. He's out there. I think that there obviously will be an added kind of attention on him coming back to play against his former team. So you got to account for him. Then you look at Kenneth Walker, in the run game. And Zach Charbonnet, who I believe is healthy and will be playing. So, did I say that right? You looked at me weird when I said that.
No, I had to lick my lip.
Oh, okay. Well, me and names. I'll
you're wrong about Arroyo. It's Arroyo, but that's the only one that I heard.
Whatever. I'm trying. But yeah, I just think, looking at the Seahawks offense, very talented. Got to give him props. Credit where credit is due. Like I said, Darnold's been playing very well. So from the outside looking in, this is definitely going to be an offensive battle, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to end up that way. I feel like there's a lot of games, particularly with the Rams, but just in the NFL this season, that we're like, oh yeah, we're going to go watch this offensive battle. And then you watch the game and nobody's scoring. How many primetime games have we watched this season where people just don't score, these high-powered offenses? So I feel weird projecting this onto this game, but I genuinely think this is going to be an offensive shootout, and we will talk about this when we do our predictions and
I do too.
All that. But Jake, looking at this Seahawks offense that we just kind of talked about, what do you think the Rams defensive game plan is going to do to go in there and kind of try and slow them down early on?
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's a weird team. Obviously I have them as the second best team in the league, but they're very weird. And the reason I say that is because they essentially have a high powered, high octane passing attack that hardly anybody can stop. And yet they prefer to run the ball more than throw it. Right. And that could honestly be the reason for it. So I don't want to be ignorant to the fact that they might be like, you know what, this is the perfect pitch count for Sam Darnold. We don't have him throwing 50 passes a game. And it keeps him, composed and everything. But I also don't want to discredit Sam Darnold. I don't want to look at him like he's chopped liver either. He is top 3 in most metrics. He has 22 big-time throws, only 6 turnover-worthy plays. His average depth of target is 10.2 yards, which is the highest among all qualified starting quarterbacks. He gets rid of the ball at 2.64 seconds per throw, which is Mac Jones' exact number. So just so you know, he's going to get rid of the ball quickly. He has 116.5 pass rating, 22 plus 100 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. When he's under pressure, this is the only way to really beat him, is because he has a 50 completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and an 83.8 rating. When he's kept clean, he has 128.6 rating. When he's blitzed, he has a 93.2. When he's not blitzed, he has 128 rating. Now, the interesting thing is the Rams and Seattle do not blitz quarterbacks. They just don't. 18.5% of the time, the Rams are blitzing. Seattle, 18.3. Now, obviously, you don't blitz Matthew Stafford, but the Rams are going to have to dial up the blitzing for Sam Darnold. 93.2 passer rating's good, but 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a 61.3 completion percentage, that's a dip in production from when he's not blitzed at 75.8% clip, 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So, you want to stop Sam Darnold? You're going to want to blitz him. You're going to want to take out his ability to sit there and read defenses, okay? The deep passing. This is the thing where Sam Darnold can be a problem. This is why you're blitzing. Because if Sam Darnold is blitzed, he's unlikely to be able to uncork a long one and be able to convert a long pass. In the deep passing game, he's leading the league at 154.1 passer rating. That's 20 plus yards down the field. That is absolutely incredible stuff from Sam Darnold. The intermediate passing game, which is, that 10 to 19 yard range, we're talking about 133.3 passer rating. And the short passing, it's 89.8 rating. So here's the deal. Sam Darnold is a intermediate to deep passer, okay? He starts to kind of fall off a little bit if you force him to do, make those short passes. And we saw that against a really good defense in the Houston Texans, the best scoring defense in football. They got Sam Darnold into some trouble when they forced him to get rid of the ball quickly. And obviously that's because they had Will Anderson and they had Danielle Hunter. Well, the Rams have Jared Verse, and of course they have Byron Young, and they have some other guys they can send the house, they can blitz. They got Quentin Lake who can blitz. They got all the corners that can blitz. They got Nate Landman. They're going to send guys. I do believe that Chris Shula is going to get creative. They did not blitz Mac Jones nearly enough. And the thing about Mac Jones is that he prefers that. If you don't blitz Mac Jones, he'll sit there all day and he'll take what's in front of him. He's not trying to, spread out and really go outside the confines of the system. But here's the deal. The Seahawks want to run the football. I don't know why, but they want to run the football. They want to stick to the run. They're a passing attack that could just absolutely decimate you, but they love to stick to the run. And another thing that they love to do is they like to have this kind of thunder and lightning combination that I'm just going to say right now makes no sense. Watching the film, Kenneth Walker is so much better than Zach Charbonnet. I actually don't think it's remotely close. Charbonnet averages 3.3 yards per carry, and he has 3 more touchdowns because of when he was used. But as far as being the bigger back, he's generated fewer yards after contact than Walker. He's generated fewer missed tackles forced, and he has 14 fewer explosive runs than Walker. This is the offense that I disagree with. This is the part of Seattle's offense that I just disagree with entirely. Kenneth Walker should be the bell cow. He is that good. It's like Kyren Williams. I understand Blake Corum has his moments. I still think Kyren Williams should get probably 80% of the carries. But they try to make this thing a little bit of a timeshare, and I don't really understand it. I don't think Zach Charbonnet is terrible, but I don't think he's anywhere near as good as Kenneth Walker. We even saw George Holani run a touchdown last week against the Cardinals. I think he's a little interesting as well. Then you look at the receiving room, okay? Jackson Smith-Njigba is the second best wide receiver in the league behind only Puka Nacua, in my personal opinion. He has over 1,000 yards in 9 games. I was a big, person here saying that I thought that he was going to be a superstar early in the year, and he's made me look smart. 11 out of 17 contested catches, has 128.4 targeted passer rating. When you look at JSN, he can win in every single level of the field. But the interesting thing is with Torrey Horton out, now you're going to start to see Rashid Shaheed potentially in the biggest role of the season for him since coming over to the Seahawks. He was used as a little bit of a gadget guy to this point. Don't sleep on his ability to make plays in space and take the top off the defense. He already had some success against the Rams in the Saints game, and I would not be surprised if we also see Cooper Kupp quite a bit. He had a big explosive against the Cardinals. He's dealt with injury. They don't pass as much, so his numbers have been hurt by that, but he can move the chains, and he's got a targeted passer rating almost in the hundreds. So You get the revenge game angle there as well.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if Cooper Kupp has a good game. And then you mentioned Arroyo. Arroyo has shown the ability to take the top off the defense, be a vertical big play threat, 119.2 targeted pass rating. A.J. Barner has 4 touchdowns on the year as well. They have a lot of weapons, Alexis. So, I think really they're going to have to send the blitz. They're going to have to get after Sam Darnold. I think if you're looking for kind of the chink in the armor there, it's going to be Oluwatimi, who is filling in for Jalen Sundell at center. He really did not play much this year. He started in the past, but he was definitely a liability in pass protection for the limited snaps that I saw. And then, of course, he fumbled in their own territory right after they got a huge goal line stand against the Cardinals. Anthony Bradford, I also think, is a huge weak link in this. So if you look at the interior right side, I think that's it. Center and right guard, that is going to be a big thing, in my opinion. If you're going to go after them, that's how you're going to do it, and you're going to have to send some blitz. So that's the big thing. Charles Cross is the best pass protector on this team. The best tackle on this team. He blocks well in the run game as well. I think, Abraham Lucas does a nice job, and Gray Zabel has been huge for them, in the pass protecting game. He's not the best run blocker, but he's getting there. So overall, I think the Rams are going to have opportunities to get after Sam Darnold. But the last thing I'll say, Alexis, and I want to make this very clear for Rams fans so you don't go in and you're rug pulled when you see what you see. Sam Darnold in the playoffs, that was not all on him. I see it all the time. He saw ghosts. He had no chance. Sam Darnold was not the reason Sam Darnold struggled in the playoffs, okay? I've said it over and over again. The offensive line did him no favors, okay? But also, we got to give credit. We talk about all the time, Jared Verse was dominant. All those guys were dominant up front. But look at how long he was holding on to the football, okay? That's the secondary. The secondary, everybody just chooses to ignore. The cornerback room that everyone chooses to ignore. People forget, Ahkello Witherspoon, Darius Williams, and Kobe Durant were dominant in coverage. Shut down Justin Jefferson. Shut down, I'm totally blanking on the guy's name, Jordan Addison, and shut down Hawkinson, right? So now, what is Darnold supposed to do? So that's the thing that I kind of laugh at, is that we act like Sam Darnold was terrible and all of that, and he's seeing ghosts. But if you really go back and you watch it, his left tackle gave up 21 pressures the last 2 games of the year, the last game and the playoff game against the Rams. Okay? Cam Robinson was atrocious. So his blind side was always under siege, and then no one was getting open. If you go back and you look at the first game earlier in the year, the Rams won 30-20. I think that's more of what you'll see with Sam Darnold. I think he's still a very good quarterback. There's a mental aspect of the NFL, and I'm sure that could get to him, the fact that it is the Rams. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to be seeing ghosts. I think he's going to be able to play well in this game, and he deserves way more credit than he gets.
Well, I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I have seen a lot of tweets kind of aimed at Sam Darnold and about, when we've played Sam Darnold in the past, this is, I think, going to be a little bit different. Not that the Rams won't be able to make things difficult for Sam Darnold, which I think is obviously a very realistic possibility, but I don't think using the previous games when he was with the Vikings should be contributed to this, is what I'm trying to say here.
Different
because
offenses.
You made some good points. Different offenses. Jake, getting into our predictions for this game. Like, this is the game. That's what I've been calling it, the game. So far, there's going to be other big games in the season, but you know what? We're giving the Seahawks a lot of credit. These, in both of our opinions, are the top 2 teams in the NFC right now. So when we look at making these predictions and trying to kind of figure out what we think is going to happen, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first? Because I'm like, it's one of those games where it's like the what's that song? Anything can happen.
Well,
forget that. Everyone forget that I just did that. But you know what I mean? It's like anything can happen. Dun dun dun.
So we're going with bold predictions.
Well, yeah, sure. Bold predictions.
Okay, let's do bold predictions.
Let's really go for it. It's that kind of game. Big games deserve big predictions, right?
And now we have 4 of them that we have to fill in, because we just added the 4th one.
We've added this like unspoken rule of like we're doing 4 instead of 3 for some reason this season, but like it's working, so let's just
yeah, exactly. Okay, let's do first one. You already know my first one. We talked about it off air. Terrence Ferguson is catching
Yeah.
2 touchdowns in this game. He is the X factor. He's going to find pay dirt twice. I am so high on Terrence Ferguson. I think the things that I've seen, he's just picking up the offense so quick now, and it's really just coming to him. He's become such a better blocker, and I really think the only one that's holding him back is Sean McVay at this point. He finds his way to get open. You know, he's just so good, spatial awareness and all. Terrence Ferguson, give me 2 touchdowns this week for him.
Oh, yeah.
We should just go back and forth because I'm going to end up taking some of yours. So since we switched to 4, you go with
Well, it's so funny because somebody did just comment this in the chat. Alex did, and he's okay. So here's the thing. I was gonna say Davis Allen touchdown. I don't know if that's bold, but I just feel like when you've got 4 tight ends that are super active, like picking one, that's a 1 in 4 chance. It's a little bold. But Alex in the chat called him Davis Allison because remember I accidentally. We joke about me talk. Here's the thing. When I talk too fast and I get excited, I just mix up my words and my letters. And one time I called Davis Allen Alice.
It happens.
Don't know how that happened.
It happens.
But Alex remembers. But no, I think that we're going to see a touchdown from Davis Allen. I feel like, I don't know if it's what it is, but I feel like he kind of slides under the radar a little bit with some of these other tight ends. I think it's because you've got Tyler Higbee, right? Known presence, veteran. You've got the exciting Terrence Ferguson, who we're all obsessed with. We all want to see more of. And then Colby Parkinson, it's like we're familiar with because he's kind of been more active. And I think he's kind of had ups and downs with the Rams a little bit. Like he kind of disappointed a little bit. So when you see him get involved, it's like you know him. And it's like Davis Allen, I just feel like doesn't get as much love. And I don't think that's fair. He's just reliable, consistent. He catches the touchdowns and like nobody talks about him. So I think that we're going to see a Davis Allen touchdown, you know, the general. I think that he is going to get a sneaky one in there. I don't know if that's bold or not. You know what? I'm going to say Davis Allen 2 touchdowns because you said
Wow.
Terrence Ferguson too. And now I feel like I need to level the playing field a little bit. Yeah, 2.
I'm surprised you're going with Davis Allen, especially you're like storyline girl. Like
I am
I'm shocked you're not saying Colby Parkinson's going to get revenge against the Seahawks and have 2 touchdowns in this one. Like,
you
that's what I
know,
was
now that you say it, that should have been it. But I just have been feeling for Davis Allen lately, and I just feel like he doesn't get the love that he deserves, and he's overshadowed a little bit. Even though he's scoring, I just feel like nobody talks about him. Everybody wants to talk about everybody else. But Colby Parkinson revenge game, I'd be here for it.
It just sounds funny. I don't know. His name doesn't work with revenge game at all.
It would be okay. Never mind. I won't give any more predictions.
That's
I won't
fair.
spoil it. You go.
Okay. Yeah, I've had this feeling for a while. I kind of circled this as like the one that I was going to give an interception to. And I normally don't do interception ones because they're so like just I don't know what's the word. They're so particular.
Yeah.
But I remember last year the reason why like the Rams were able to come back in that game in Seattle and really kind of take over the game was because of Cam Kinchen. So I think he is going to have an interception on Sam Darnold, another Seahawks quarterback. Geno Smith was at the goal line. I think he's going to pick off Sam Darnold. And I'm not going to say pick 6, but he's going to have a decent return with it. So yeah, give me, I think it's bold enough to have like an interception pick. So yeah, give me Cam Kinchens to pick
Love
one
it.
off in this one.
Love it. I'm gonna have an interception prediction, but it's not gonna be as specific.
His first one of the year, by the way. So that is bold.
That is bold. I agree. I think the Rams are gonna have 2 interceptions this game.
Interesting.
I feel like, you know, I do think that they are going to make Sam Darnold uncomfortable. I think they are going to put the pressure on. I think they've learned, as we talked earlier, about kind of some of these games where they didn't really pressure the quarterback as much. I think that Darnold is going to get rattled, and I think we're going to see 2 Rams interceptions this game. 2 turnovers.
You know what's funny is I'm actually going to say they get 2 turnovers. I don't know if it'll be on Darnold. I kind of feel like JSN's going to fumble. He's had 2 this year, by the way. I think we're going to see a Nate Landman, boom, punch out.
JSN? Oh, that would be cinema.
That would be
Pure
crazy.
cinema.
But I can see
That
it.
would be crazy.
I can see
That's
it, man.
Is that your third prediction?
That's my third. Nate Landman gonna punch the shit out of the ball. It's gonna go flying, and the Rams will pick it up.
My third prediction is I think we're going to see Kyren Williams get 2 touchdowns and go over 100 yards. Is that bold?
To
I
go
feel
over
like
what?
with 100 yards.
It's not bold
Rushing.
anymore because Kyron can easily go over 100.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking like, I don't know, you get Corum involved now. I feel like, he doesn't
That's
get as
fair.
many carries. So like it would be kind of, but I just think, Kyron has always done well against division teams. And I feel like, especially Seattle, like I feel like we're going to see a big game from him. And as we talked about earlier, I do think the Rams are going to try to come out and establish the run first and foremost. So I think if you can get Kyron going, it's just going to open up the passing game for you. So that'll be my third.
Kyron did not score against Seattle last year, so he's definitely looking
He didn't?
for. Yeah,
It's his first NFL touchdown was against Seattle. That was in Seattle.
Yeah, he had
Didn't
2
remember?
touchdowns in that one.
And that was kind of a weird one. I don't remember what happened, but I remember that was with Cam Akers was still around. And all of a sudden we
He
just
even had a
looked in.
touchdown.
Yeah, we looked in and we're like, oh my God. I just remember being like, oh my God, Kyren Williams is in there. And what was weird about that game is I'd taken a Kyren Williams anytime touchdown just for the love of the game.
Happens.
I just had taken it that day because I was like, a fan, and I was like, I hope they use him. And yeah, that was his first NFL touchdown. But I think he is going to have a big game. I think they are. I really believe in the run presence against Seattle, so they're going to try.
Okay. My last bold prediction. Let's say Matthew Stafford keeps this streak going. Another 4 touchdown game for Matthew Stafford.
We would love it.
Yeah, we would. So,
and then because you also said, what was your other prediction of who scored? Did you have one who scored?
Yeah, so I had 2 for Ferg. I had Kinchin's interception, Landman punch out, Stafford 4 touchdowns.
Nice. So my fourth is going to be a field goal prediction. And I'm laughing because I see people now bringing it up in the chat as well. I just saw, which, with Mevis, the thinker kicker, it's fun to do these little predictions kind of involving Harrison. I'm going to say 50-yarder from him.
Wow.
I wanted to say 55, but I was like, let's not be obnoxious.
He's never attempted a field goal in an NFL game, so. I
know, but I think we're going to see it. I think we're going to see an attempt, and I think that it's going to go great, and I love it. I think we need that as a fan base. I do.
Okay.
I think we need it. So that's bold, but that's going to be my prediction.
Yeah.
So let's do score, and I'm going to have you go first, Jake. So we gave our predictions. I'm setting the stage here for a really dramatic score reveal. So we gave our predictions. 2 of the best teams in the NFL, the top 2 teams in the NFC, these high-powered offenses that we've talked about this episode. Division rivals. What happens, Jake? What's the score? Who wins?
I've gone back and forth on this. So I had 33-30 the whole week, and now I'm going to go with 35-33. I don't think the Rams are going to kick a field goal. I think they're going to score 5 touchdowns, and I think Seattle is going to be there at the end, and it's going to be neck and neck. Very weird score, I get it, but 35-33, Rams hang on in what should be an absolute and I understand there's going to be a lot of people that have lower scores. They think it's going to be defensive. I actually think it's going to be an offensive battle. I do.
I do too.
I think the time on the short week in Seattle, I tend to lean towards that's the more defensive game than the one in this one. I think this is going to be the electric firework game because you're playing, indoors. Bear with me here. I know it's a canopy, but still, you're playing indoors somewhat. I think at Lumen Field on a short week, that's probably going to be more of a lower scoring game. So that's my take. I saw somebody ask about the refs. It is not Rolstad, thank God. It is John Hussey, who, fun fact, I don't know if you knew this about John Hussey. I think you'll appreciate this. In his free time, he runs I believe, I totally forgot the name of it.
Why are we talking about?
Well,
I'm just laughing because it's like
brought it
here's
up.
here's a hobby of one of the NFL referees.
No,
guys.
it's cool. He has
No,
an
I'm sure
animal
it's cool.
shelter.
It's just funny. No, that is very cool.
You
It's
know?
just funny because I've never heard you talk positively about a ref one time.
Nah,
And you're like, wait,
John
here's
Hussey,
a really
he deserves some credit for that.
yeah, no, that's
Craig
great.
Rolstad
Good for him.
screwing the Rams sideways every 2 seconds. Nah,
Yeah.
no, we don't talk positively about him. But
Well, we love that that Hussey has an animal shelter. That is really, really cool of him.
yeah, I gotta find it.
So
Stay
yeah,
tuned.
Jake's gonna find that. So while Jake does that, I'm gonna give my score prediction because mine is very similar. I have 35-31 Rams.
Okay.
So we're both in the same mindset, I think here of just I think it's gonna be an offensive shootout. There hasn't been anything that shows me when I look at how both of these teams have played as of late to think it won't be, right? And I know that I said earlier in the episode that like we've seen a lot of these games, particularly primetime games, this season where you've got like great offenses and then they come out and they just like don't score. Like obviously anything can happen in the NFL. But there's just no reason to believe that these teams aren't going to come out swinging offensively, and I think it's going to be a very fun one to watch.
I agree. By the way, can confirm he is the founder and CEO of Cuddly, which is a purpose-driven company that helps animal rescue organizations create their own fundraisers. He's helped
Love it.
4,600 rescue partners nationwide. Yeah, that's a dude
Love it.
that
Shout out to
deserves
him.
some credit. So I might get
Well-
on him this week, but it's not personal. I have a lot of respect for John Hussey outside of football.
Before
yes.
every tweet, say that. Before
Yes.
every tweet that you make criticizing him, just say, first off, I respect John Hussey. Secondly, fuck that call. Do that.
Which, by the way, fun fact: the Rams in the Sean McVay era are 6-1 when John Hussey officiates their home games. So, someone asked me about the referee. So this is how
I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, this is how we do it on this channel. Like, I'm here to provide whatever info that you need. So there you go.
Well,
I know you would do the same if you had it off the top of your head.
If I knew deep lore about the referees we were going against, I would surely talk about it. I just don't know anything about referees' personal lives, but I kind of wish I did because that was a very touching tribute to him.
Yeah.
He seems like a great guy, and if Jake gets on him this weekend, that kind of is not a good look on Jake, right?
No, not really. So
you just told everybody what a good guy he is, and then
Very
you're gonna
good
rip
guy.
him to shreds.
I love
out of
my
respect.
animals, Alexis. I love my animals.
That's true. But guys, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. It's a really big game Sunday. So we hope everybody has a great weekend and we'll all touch base, on social media during the game. We got some supers. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, subscribe, follow.
Appreciate you, Swing Timer. I
appreciate
see
you.
Tiffany is trying to see how to follow the channel. How does the subscribe button work? Like, what does that look like? I have to now look at another account that I'm not subscribed to see, since it's been a minute since I've seen one.
It's I think it's if you're watching on a computer where it says, like Jake Ellenbogen, there should
Hmm.
be like a subscribe button next to the name, I think.
Yep, it's just subscribe. Yeah, I see it. So it's like a white, I don't know, like a button, and then you hit the subscribe button, and that will do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, real quick, friends over at Sleeper, shout out to them for sponsoring today's episode. If you enjoyed it, definitely be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. But also check out today's sponsor, Sleeper, because you can get 100% match up to $100 using the code JKB. And you could also get $20, a free $20 entry, no deposit needed when you sign up using Sleeper today. So be sure to hit up that link in the description below. Use the code JKB if you are depositing. And yeah, get in on the action. Like I said, we had a lot of different bold predictions that you can take and convert to Sleeper. Terrence Ferguson, I'm catching 2 touchdowns. You can just say he's going to catch 1. Alexis thinks Kyron is going to have a huge game. There you go. Kyron's right in there. So, yeah. And by the way, our Seahawks fans, just want to give a shout out to Space and Ilana. Appreciate y'all. They show up even
guys.
when the Rams aren't playing Seattle. So I do appreciate the support there. Wanted to give them a shout out. You could also use Seahawks players in this one as well. You should probably, because you can't just use one team. So be sure to check it out. If you think Cooper Kupp's going to have a good revenge game, be sure to put that in there as well. But again, shout out to Sleeper again for sponsoring the channel. And we're done. It's in the books.
We're done. We'll be back Monday night to recap
Tuesday.
the game. Oh, Tuesday. That's right.
Yeah.
Tuesday to recap the game. But guys, until then,
I put up a peace sign because that's Tuesday, and you're like, oh, right, my bad. That totally means Tuesday.
Listen, my go-to when I see anybody in public is just because I'm socially awkward, and I don't
do this
know
all
if
the
I
time
should
now.
say hi. So I just
I don't know if it was you or my
Probably.
co-host Gary.
I don't know.
I think you both do it, so I've just picked it up. And
It's
now
just
I
my
do
defense
this.
mechanism. Peace. But guys, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. We've started using our Instagram a bit more, so you can follow us over on Instagram at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter/X at the Alexis Craft. I am also on Instagram at Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake on social media at JK Bogan. And guys, we'll be back to recap this game, like we said, next Tuesday. But until then, as always, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.